Hello, my name is Sister Renee Daigle. I am a Marianite of Holy Cross, and I'm originally from Houma, Louisiana. Grew up there as the oldest of 5 children in a Catholic family. I grew up knowing sisters. I grew up having sisters as teachers, as principals of the various schools that I went to, and I actually had a great aunt who was a Marianite, my grandmother's sister. So I think I had an advantage of, like, I knew the sisters as real people, not just, you know, those people you see. And the sisters all wore habits when I was young. So I knew them. They were at our family reunions. They were at all of our celebrations. They even spent the night every now and then. So I knew, like, they wore nightgowns and pajamas and things like that. So it wasn't such a foreign thing to me. I knew the sisters. I loved the sisters. Never really thought of being one because I was going to be a wife and a mother and a teacher. I knew in 3rd grade that I wanted to be a teacher. I had this incredible teacher, and I said then at 8 years old, when I grow up, I'm going to be a teacher. And so that was my plan, a wife and a mother and a teacher. Those were most of the women that I knew. So I grew up, went to high school, Catholic high school still, and was active in my faith in the sense that I went to church on Sundays and, you know, had a prayer life. There was not an active, real youth ministry culture like there is today. So that wasn't really part of my experience, just going to high school and having friends and things like that. Went off to college and same thing, typical college student. I did not go through that rebellious phase of I don't need church, I don't need God, my parents aren't here making me go to church. I still, you know, was active in that way, but that was pretty much it. I was a typical college student. So when I'm talking to high school students, I say we don't tell all those stories. So, you know, dated and just kept my grades up. I had a scholarship, and I knew if I didn't keep my scholarship, I would have to move back home. And so I made sure to keep my scholarship. And I think it was probably back up a tiny bit when I was in high school, senior in high school. The sister Marianite, who was the vocation director for the Marianites, and the brother of the Sacred Heart, who was their vocation director, came to our school and did a vocation talk. And I remember hearing their stories and thinking, wow, that would be really cool. Like, it touched me in a way that just kind of moved something within me. I still remember the song that they played at the end of their talk. It was Cool Change by the Little River Band. And I remember thinking that would, you know, that would be really neat. But just that quick, I'm like, but that's not for me. I'm getting married. I'm having a family. I think that was my first conscious thought of religious life. So, like I said, went to college, you know, typical college student. In my 3rd year of college, a friend of mine took me by the hand and said, you were coming to this retreat. It was an awakening retreat. And it was on that awakening retreat that I think I finally took the time to just kind of be still a little bit. Because from the time I was at senior in high school until my 3rd year in college, every now and then that thought would come back to me. That feeling, thought, whatever you call it. Now we call it the call, I suppose. It would just come at random times. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. No, I'm not doing that. I'm getting married and having a family. And so it's as if God and I were having a tug of war for about 3 years, back and forth, back and forth. And so on this retreat, I remember one night they had us all on the gym floor, and it was dark, and it was this prayer that this girl was reading. And it was really more of a poem, like Jesus talking to you. And the refrain of the poem was, say yes, say yes. And it was, I don't even remember what the verses were, but it just kept that say yes, like say yes to a relationship with God, say yes to God in your life. But for me, I had been having this inner tug of war with the whole religious life question. And that's what I was hearing, say yes, say yes, say yes. So I sat there on that gym floor and screamed inside, okay, I'm going to do this. And I cannot tell you the relief that I found. It was like just this deep breath that I could, okay, I'm going to do this. Well, that turned into a little bit of fear mixed in with a little bit of excitement. I called the sister who was the vocation director and said, I think I need to come and talk to you. And so that started the process. I was a junior in college at the time. I stayed there and finished my degree in education while I was going through the application process and the physicals and psychologicals and all that goes along with applying, and graduated from college in May, and I entered the Marianite congregation in September. That was in 1985. So I've been a Marianite now for 27 years, and it's been a wonderful life. I tell people all the time, if I could roll back the clock and stand at that fork in the road, knowing then what I know now, I would have picked the same road. You know, every now and then I think everybody thinks, what would it have been like? What if? I think everybody kind of goes through that. So there's been those times, but for the most part, I could never have imagined what my life would be back in 1985 when I was 22. The opportunities that I have had, the experiences, the people that I have met have just been incredible. My community, the Marianites of Holy Cross, is part of a wider family, the family of Holy Cross priests, brothers, and sisters around the world. I think that draws me more now than probably it did at 22, because I didn't really know that much about the family. But the whole family concept, the men and women complementarity, working together and sharing together, and in just a family spirit has meant a lot to me, especially in the last maybe 15 years or so. Our sort of motto, or part of our mission statement, is to incarnate the love and compassion of Jesus Christ. So we don't have a specific ministry that we all do. That can make us seem nebulous at times, because we're not all together doing the same thing, you know, all day long. But it is so enriching to community life and to each one of us personally, because it gives us a diversity of ministry. So where we are present, there's also a line in our constitutions that says, wherever there is a Marianite, there is the congregation. So in some way, shape, or form, I am in the nursing home, and I am in Burkina Faso working with, you know, the poor people there, and I am in Greenwood, Mississippi working with the Hispanics. And, you know, all of us are intertwined in each other's ministry. And to me, that's just been a very, very enriching thing. Not only do we hear about each other's ministries, but we share in that. You know, when one activity is going on in one sister's ministry, those that she lives with, when possible, help her out with that, participate in that, and get enriched in turn by that. When I entered in 1985, I fully thought I was going to be teaching, like forever. And I did that for the first 10 years. I taught preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. The most of that time was in kindergarten, and I loved it. I loved every minute of my teaching. But again, part of obedience and the challenge and the gift of religious life is that there's these calls that continue to come within the call of religious life. So as I was happy minding my own business, I got a phone call saying, Renee, would you go and learn Spanish? I was like, okay, why? And so I ended up in San Antonio learning Spanish, thinking that I was going to Mexico. We had a mission there. I ended up not in Mexico, but in Nicaragua, through some various turns, working with street children, and actually had the opportunity to open a center for street children there in Nicaragua, boys ages 7 to 15. That was a wonderful experience that I never would have dreamed of. So I did that for a year, more or less, and then I was asked by my community to do vocation ministry full time. So I came back to New Orleans and did vocation ministry full time until, I don't know, let's say about 13 years. And then I decided that vocation ministry is very necessary and life-giving in a lot of ways, but it's also very draining in a lot of ways. And so I got the permission, if you will, to add a little something and to do campus ministry as well. So for the last 5 years, I've been doing vocation ministry as well as campus ministry at Southeastern Louisiana University in Hammond. I feel like that's a really good fit of ministry for me, and again, has just once again broadened my experiences. So while I have my degrees in education and in pastoral spirituality, I think I'm still teaching, even though I haven't been in the classroom for years. And I think that's the thing about religious life. You say yes on one day, and you say yes the next day, and the next day, and the next day, sometimes not having a clue what that yes is going to mean, but knowing that God is there leading us and carrying us through.